A video complaining about the self-checkout CCTV cameras at ASDA has been debunked. That's what I'm talking about in this video. Now, whilst I haven't seen this video, it's reportedly been viewed hundreds of thousands of times and has found its way onto fullfact.org, with a response from ASDA, I might add. Now, the video caption said that under GDPR, she's right. And within the video, it said, this is exactly how it said, what they're basically happening, and this is my viewpoint, not my viewpoint, you understand the viewpoint in the video. You've got a picture of your face, your debit card information, and everything you've bought. Now, this is, as far as I'm concerned, targeted advertising. But I've never given anybody my permission to take my data in that way, and under GDPR, unless you've given permission, they cannot do it. That's how it was said in the video. Now, the caption said that under GDPR, she's right, but I don't agree. Now, ASDA has responded, first of all, first and foremost, to say that actually they don't store the CCTV footage from these self-checkout cameras, and instead it is an anti-theft deterrent system. So your image is put up on a screen with the cameras when you're at the self-checkouts to sort of deter you from stealing things, because believe it or not, some people steal things at the self-checkouts, and they've come up with some quite creative ways of doing this as well. Don't be under any illusions that what might seem like petty shoplifting theft is any less serious. It's a dishonesty offence. It will stay with you for a long time, and it could indeed go to the Crown Court depending on the value, typically if it's over £200. Under £200, it is typically dealt with as summary only, although it remains an indictable offence, meaning it could still go to the Crown Court and you could still elect Crown Court trial. Either way, it's a dishonesty offence. It's the same as theft, and it's under the Theft Act, and it will, as I say, it will stay with you for a very long time. So no illusions, please. Shoplifting's bad. But the technology at the stores, says ASDA, they say we have no technology in the stores that could take an image, store it, and then compare it to other images to spot when a recognized face comes into the store. In English, it means they don't have Face ID technology when you come in and you're caught on CCTV. ASDA goes on, the cameras use AI to focus on faces, like pretty much every camera does these days. You might see a green box around the face, but again, this footage isn't recorded or stored. Now, even if they did store the footage, I am still of the view that it's not a breach of GDPR, because whilst consent, as in your consent to record and store your data and process and use your data, is one method of lawful collection and processing of your data, it's not the only one. One of the legitimate causes or reasons for recording, storing, analysing, processing and sharing your data could be prevention of theft and other crimes. So traditional CCTV relies on that. In other words, you will be caught on CCTV, you will be stored on CCTV, and typically up to about a month. ASDA says that these recordings, traditional CCTV recordings, are held typically for 14 to 30 days, depending on the site. And obviously that depends on the risk evaluation of that site, higher risk, longer storage. And also ANPR, automatic number plate recognition, is typically held for around 120 days. That's typically because they might be called upon to release some of that information to police, because vehicles might be used in and out in other crimes and to and from other locations involved in other crimes, and therefore very much more useful to the police than whether you're in the store or not. So that sort of information, ANPR, number plate recognition information, is probably more useful to police for a longer period of time. So that's stored for typically 120 days. And in some cases, it may be kept even longer to support an investigation of a crime, an accident, and related to regulatory action. It says that this is typically up to 6 years beyond the date of the investigation. 6 years is a common time point, because for civil claims, for most civil claims, there is a 6-year limitation period. It's shorter for personal injury, but for most claims, it's 6 years. For indictable offences, there is no time limit in the UK at the very least. So if the vehicle number plate's been used and it's entered the car park and it's recorded on ANPR, that will be stored for a longer period of time. But we digress. Coming back to the CCTV at checkouts, as I said, it's not a breach of GDPR, even if they were to store it, although ASDA says they don't. Some stores may store, no pun intended, the footage for the self-checkouts, and that would be legitimate in my view, because they would be using a legitimate lawful basis for storing and processing your information in the event that they believe that you've committed a crime, an offence of theft, shoplifting. But would it be beyond the scope of the purpose of collecting the information, which could breach data protection laws, if they then use that, your Face ID, in conjunction with any of the other information, such as what you've bought and your card information and that sort of stuff? Potentially. And I say potentially because most people, not everybody, but most people have a loyalty card of some sort or another, a Tesco club card or whatever it might be, because you get points, you get discounts, you get special deals and all of this sort of stuff. So if you've used one of those cards and you've signed up, in the small print somewhere, it's going to say, by using this card, you are consenting to the processing of your data in some form or another. And clearly, because you use it to record the items that you buy, and they give you the discount. So within the terms, there is at the very least implied acceptance, regardless whether you've actually clicked accept or not. You've taken some affirmative step to them collecting your data. Does that stretch as far as capturing your image on CCTV at the checkouts and using it in conjunction with the card? Probably not. That is probably a step too far, unless it's very clear in the terms and conditions of the card. And I would go as far as to say that there needs to be a sign with the CCTV, with the camera, with the screen to say, we may use this to, provide you targeted advertising, something like that. If they did, there would be no problem at all, because if you don't like it, don't use it. And generally, if you don't like it, don't use it. I know some people that absolutely adamantly hate the use of self-checkouts, full stop, let alone whether there's a camera pointing in your face, putting you on screen. Me, I don't care. It's more convenient for me, so I use it. And yes, I know I'm probably on... I've never questioned it, frankly. Whether I'm on camera, whether I'm stored on camera, it doesn't bother me. Really doesn't bother me, because what difference does it make, really? If anything, it provides me with an alibi, which is, proof that I was somewhere if I'm accused of being somewhere else. Because if I'm at some place with CCTV and then I'm accused of being somewhere else, I can say, no, I was at Tesco or wherever I was, and I'm on camera and I've got my phone with GPS and all that sort of stuff. So either way, I have no real problem with this. But I understand that many of you do. And if you do have a problem with it, don't use it. It's as simple as that. What you won't get away from is the standard CCTV, which are recorded typically held for about 30 days. Again, if you don't like the CCTV and you don't like being caught on it, you'd better not go to any shop and do all your shopping online. But even that's got its own problems, because when you shop online, then naturally they need your details, and your details are being stored and used somehow. This is why I have a bit of a gripe with GDPR in general, because it's a bit of a nightmare for companies to deal with. Because to be GDPR compliant, it really means that every company has to think very carefully about what data they gather, how they gather it, how long they store it for, where they store it, what they do with it, and all of that sort of stuff. I remember from memory, I think it was Wetherspoons, one of the chains just said, do you know what, forget it, we'll just delete the database. We don't want to get caught up in this GDPR stuff. I'll stand to be corrected if it wasn't them. Apologies if it wasn't Wetherspoons. I think it was, but it was a big chain nonetheless that said, forget it, we're going to delete our database of so many millions or however many it was customers, because we don't want the hassle of dealing with GDPR, and we value our customer data, yada yada. So that's what they did. But coming full circle, ASDA responded to the fullfact.org and said that they have a legal basis for collecting footage, which is a legitimate business interest, to provide a safe space, enable a fair investigation into potential breaches, among other reasons. And the website goes on to say that false claims about data collection can cause people to feel unnecessarily unsafe going about daily activities and making misinformed decisions about how we live. And so I'm really here to reiterate that message to you, because if a company is misusing your data, using it for purposes other than that it was collected for and that are clearly wrong, they will be held accountable for it, just with or without GDPR. They'll be held accountable for that anyway. and if they have a breach of your data. There are lots of different data breaches going on at the moment that have got many claimants part of a multi-claimant claim against said companies. Just one that I can think of offhand, there's over 1,000 claimants across 9 separate claim forms, all of which seeking damages on different levels from the company that's had a data breach and leaked their data. If you are in that position and you feel that you've had your data leaked, or you've had a ping, or you've seen a news item that suggests that the data has been breached from a certain company, and you think to yourself, you are with that company, you may well have a claim, and you may well be able to join that claim for free, because most of those run as a no-win, no-fee thing. They take fees and a slice of any damages, sometimes referred to as a damage-based agreement at the end of it. You can check those out. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not affiliated with any of these, but you can find those online quite easily. So I thought that was a very interesting little news snippet where some video had a swipe at ASDA for these checkout cameras. Some people understandably hate them, but I would just say don't use the checkouts if that's what you feel. For me, I don't care. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is absolutely wrong? Do you think that they should stop using them? Or do you feel that the people that are stealing from these companies and inadvertently costing you more money, because the reason that prices go up sometimes is because of increase in theft from shops, and they have to cover their costs. The costs don't cover themselves. And so one way they do that is to increase their product costs. And one thing they try to do to prevent it is putting in these cameras. So we're in a bit of a vicious circle here. A lot of people, quite understandably, don't take kindly to shoplifters because, well, it's just a dishonesty offense. And most people, to my mind, don't like dishonest people. So with that, please make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, leave your comments and your questions below, and I'll come to those when I can. And in the meantime, thank you for watching.